Do you think there are aliens in Area 50? What do you think is going on at Area 51?
I totally thought that it was all bullshit. You know, that there's nothing there.
Right. Well, if there was ever anything there, they moved that shit long ago.
Right.
Yeah, that's been the rumor since like the 90s, right?
Yeah,
so,
they got smart by now.
Yeah, exactly.
Although maybe, Dan, it's a reverse psychology. They moved it and then they brought it back because everybody's like, oh, they probably moved it.
Hide in plain sight.
It didn't hide in plain sight, baby. Maybe the people that work there are fucking aliens, bro, and they use that brothel. Okay, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. Are there
So,
aliens
what
in
do
Area
you
51?
think?
Probably not. I think it's just a military.
And
Like
what
they-
about
like
what
they
about
said.
in general?
So in general, I'm a non-believer. I do not believe that extraterrestrial life has visited this Earth. Just because from a physics standpoint, and you know, if you ask all astrophysicists and physicists that I've heard asked, they always say no, because I mean, as far as we understand physics, it's just not worth the effort or really possible.
For me, what I don't understand is if something like that happened, why would there only be like conspiracy theories and only like some weird photoshops? Wouldn't there be like some evidence that you cannot question?
Right. And that's something that a lot of the scientists say too. It's like you have all these first accounts of people who were apparently abducted by UFOs, yet nobody ever took a photo, nobody ever took a video, no one ever grabbed something off the alien ship. You know, it's just, and it's always some hicks in the middle of nowhere who got a finger in their ass. It's like, bro, are you sure you weren't just at a rest stop?
Like aliens don't come to LA for some reason.
Yeah, exactly. Are you sure you were just a little drunk at a rest stop and got a little wild with your friend and now you're trying to cover up? Oh, was that alien put a probe in my ass? Yeah, right. It was your friend Billy and you liked it. So, no, I've never really believed it. And trust me, I would like to believe it. There's nothing cooler.
Me too. I love X-Files. I want to be a believer.
It's a problem with motivation too. Like if you're an alien, a civilization that's so advanced that you can do interstellar travel, you can defy what we know as the laws of physics, which is that when you travel beyond the speed of light, it dilates time so much that by the time you get here, your civilization has already moved on thousands of years. That's unfeasible. Or the other possibility of great space travel is wormholes, where you travel through the fabric of space. But still, as far as we know, there's no way to communicate to them. We don't know how you travel through or go through wormholes. We don't know. It seems like a great improbability. And if with an alien civilization with that great of technology that is so far beyond us, I just don't understand the scientific need to come here to observe us. Why? We would be so far below them evolutionarily.
If they didn't make it here, why would they just fly and do a little trick in the air and
right,
go?
do some loop
Yeah.
and fucking, hey, how you doing? Like some drone, like showing off his, you know. If they're that far ahead of us, one, we would never detect them in a million years. If their goal was to not be seen, we would never see them. I mean, we're talking about these guys are so evolutionarily beyond us that, I mean, we're like frickin', you know, monkeys. Less than monkeys to them. They probably have AI, you know what I'm saying? They've got all, like, I mean, we're ants to them if they can do that. So I can't see why them coming here and studying us would be of any benefit to them. And I can't see that the resources of Earth would be any benefit to them, because if you're living in another solar system, you have access to unlimited resources on comets and other planetary systems way closer to you and way easier to get than going through a wormhole and traveling to Earth. I mean, there's comets zipping around space with unlimited amounts of water and ore and minerals. And if you're that advanced, you're using solar power. You probably have machinery around the sun, harnessing power of the sun. there's no reason to go to that great length, in my opinion. The only thing is like maybe an unmanned drone, but how do you even communicate back?
Mm-hmm.
How do you send communication back? Can you send it through a wormhole? It just doesn't really, even as a thought experiment, it's hard to imagine. But then again, I acknowledge the fact that if they're that far in advanced, you can't really appreciate where their minds are at anyway. That being said, I didn't really believe, but man, there's some, listening to this Area 51 shit, I remember a couple of years ago in the New York Times, the Pentagon released a lot of interesting information about UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did a little research kind of following up this story. And it was really interesting. Back in May, it was reported that for the first time, the Pentagon acknowledged that UFOs are real and military pilots had seen them a lot. But they emphasized they are not saying they're aliens, just that they don't know what they are. For example, here's a video the Pentagon released of an F-18 tracking a UFO, similar to the one they just showed.
I think this is just the full version of that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's really
Oh, this
cool.
one is actually a different one. Right. Yeah, there's multiple that they released.
We're going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. The whole thing, dude.
So it's like a small cylinder object
That's not our LNS, though, is it?
that's moving really quickly.
Well, if there's like a thing.
And it's like rotating. So is this a different video, Dan? I guess this is a different incident.
Right, yeah. From what I understand, when I think that this was actually originally reported in 2017, and it's just recently there was like a big follow-up to it where they interviewed a bunch of these pilots that had seen it. But yeah, I guess it's a relatively common occurrence for these, jet fighter pilots to see these weird things that they don't know what they are. Doesn't mean they're aliens, but they're seeing something. And I mean, this is a video of one of the instances of it happening. So
the Pentagon confirms the existence of a $22 million UFO program. Although, to be also, I mean, that sounds like a lot of money, but $22 million is
nothing
like
to them.
nothing
Yeah.
to the U.S. government.
absolutely nothing.
That's like a couple of flights. One of these planes costs like $3 billion to make. But anyway, it's really interesting that they even confirmed, they came out, and which is so cool in a way because it does show some level of transparency where they're like, hey, we're actually acknowledging this and we're doing that. I'm sure conspiracy theorists will be like, oh, well, they're just doing that to throw you off the scent. Whatever. I don't know. I doubt. Either way, it's really cool that they came out and talked about this program. So, Dan, you have written here, many high-ranking people in the federal government believe aliens have visited the planet. What is the source for that?
That was in the New York Times article. I just kind of bullet pointed the main takeaways from their reporting.
So when you say high-ranking people in the federal government, are we talking about like military? Are we talking about elected officials? What does that mean?
Military. A lot of people were speaking under anonymity, as they always do in these kind of things. So I don't think they were singling out individual generals or anything that believe it. But apparently there are some within the military that think aliens are real.
And so it further says military pilots have recorded videos of UFOs with capabilities that seem to outstrip all known human aircrafts, changing directions and accelerating in ways no fighter jet or helicopter has ever accomplished.
And they're saying in that article that during between 2013 and 14, they were seeing it every day.
Every day?
Mm-hmm.
Where?
These things would be out there all day, is a quote from the military guys in that New York Times article.
What? That's so crazy.
Yeah.
And they never figured out what it was.
At least as of now, at least not publicly.
So this is the part that trips me out the most. It says, in a group of buildings in Las Vegas, the government stockpiles alloys and other materials believed to be associated with these UFOs.
Yeah, that's the trippiest part. And that's it from the New York Times too, which, I mean, that seems straight out of a movie.
It says, they have, as reported in the paper, some material from these objects that is being studied so that scientists can find out what accounts for their amazing properties. This technology of these objects, whatever they are, when asked what the materials were, Blumenthal responded, they don't know. They're studying it, but it's some kind of compound they don't recognize. This is just so bizarre.
Yeah, it's so bizarre.
What they're saying is they have some kind of alloy from these UFOs. But how can they not know what alloy? I feel like in this day and age, it must be so simple to know what metals there are in it. Or if they're unknown metals, they should, I mean, are they saying that there's unknown metals in it?
Yeah, and I mean, when I was researching this was the part of the New York Times story that had the most pushback from the scientific community, because I guess that in particular to a lot of people was just like, that doesn't make sense. We could definitely figure it out.
Yeah, unless they're saying it's unknown. But even then, I mean, you know, it's just so cryptic, you know?
Yeah, and they don't really specify how they got a hold of it. It's like, did they shoot one of these down? Like, how the hell do you get these materials?
Right, clearly they got some of the metals, so they've recovered, so they must know what it is. Otherwise, how do they know where it came from? It's all very bizarre. But to me, it seems more likely that it's like a fucking Chinese drone or some shit.
It's possible.
You know? I mean, what other governments could make something like that? China? That's it, pretty much.
Russian
Probably
bot.
about it.
Yeah. Who?
A Russian bot.
I mean, it could be the Russians, but those motherfuckers, they're focused on the
Chinese
internet.
seem more,
they're
more likely.
They're more focused on trolling the internet.
That does seem to be a counter theory, is that this whole thing is bullshit and it's all cover for them kind of subtly letting some other government know, like, hey, we know what you're doing. You know, wink, wink. You know what I mean?
That I don't buy, because they would just say, they're like, yo, dude, we know we see drones, bitch.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the advantage of doing it that way would be. So, yeah, it's all very weird.
I mean, guys, but like Occam's razor, right? You have to consider which two possibilities is the most likely, and it's probably that one. Do you think that it's aliens visiting from another solar system?
Probably a drone.
So far advanced that they can travel beyond the speed of light, yet also still be clumsy enough to be detected by humans, tracked daily, and their alloys being recovered? Or is it some Chinese spy shit? I mean, come on, this Chinese spy shit is way more likely.
True.
Yeah, I just feel like if it was alien stuff, it just wouldn't be such a mystery. It would either be like obvious in daylight and everyone
They're
saw
like,
it.
we're here, motherfuckers!
Yeah.
Yeah.
And scientists will know, and it won't be like a conspiracy.
Yeah.
It would just be a thing.
It's all or nothing. They wouldn't be detected, or they would intentionally be detected.
Yeah.